MidJourney version 6 just got announced about 12 hours ago, so if this is your first hearing it, that's fine. What I'm going to cover is what the updates are, what the new version means, what's different, what's the same, what you kind of need to know, because a lot of things have changed, and you may just want to stay with version 5.2 just because there's a new learning curve. Now, if you haven't yet, I have a video showing you how you can access version 6. I also have a video showing how you can do image to text, which is one of the things people are most excited by. But let me just go through their announcement because some of this might be a little bit overwhelming language and show you what some of these things mean. So let's go through some of this language. So with version 6 release, you can see how to switch it to version 6. You can add --v space 6 or use settings to switch into version 6. I have this covered in my other video. Or if you go to alpha, you can select it, and I'll show you that as well. So the first thing is it's a much more accurate prompt following as well as larger prompts. So you can actually write something longer, and the accuracy is meant to go up. This is the first major jump in a really long time. Remember, they were at version 5, then 5.1, 5.2, then they jumped all the way to 6. So this is the first major update in a really long time. Version 5 has been out for about 10 months, so this is a big deal. The next is improved coherence and monoll. It just means it's going to be closer to what you ask for. Improved image prompting and remix. So remix is where you take an image and go, oh, I want to change a little bit of it. This is something that I've had issues with in some of my internal testing where I have an image and I want to change it, and it either changes it too much or it won't change anything, and it's kind of gotten stuck. So this is a very exciting place. Now, what's interesting is they call this minor text drawing ability. This means you can't have it do a whole paragraph, but I've had it do 3-word phrases, no problems, and 4-word phrases. So we'll test longer phrases, see what it can do, because this is where the challenge is. You can see that the text has to be in quotations. That's the most important lesson. The second thing is that if with the stylize, you want it to be raw or a lower number. A lot of people in the past used higher stylized numbers, and that now they're saying kind of goes against text generation because you're saying go wild, but you don't want it to go wild. You want it to use the exact text you gave it. So that's what it's talking about there. Here's the exact example they give to test. And we're just going to test this prompt to show you what it will look like. I'll go up to my testing one so you can see my testing window. And let's just see if it does it right. I may have to see if it knows it. I don't think it will yet. So for some reason, it's not catching that I'm saying imagine. So I just have to do that and then paste it in. And this is their example, which is very interesting. So rather than just tell you about it, let's show it to you in real time. They've already pushed an update of version 6 in the last couple of hours. So what I'm showing you is actually the second iteration of version 6. So it's kind of cool. So one thing I have noticed is it runs a little bit slower in Discord than in my dashboard, in the alpha dashboard, but that's okay. So now it's running. You can see still showing 15%. So this is going to take a little bit of time. While that's running, let's go back to their server and talk more about the other features they've added. So they've basically said you can actually tell it how you want it written. So it's want it written with marker or sticker note. So it's kind of giving you prompting language. They've improved the upscalers with both subtle and creative. So when you increase the size, you can say keep it mostly the same or change it a lot. That's what they mean by subtle and creative. And here's the features. Now, you guys probably don't use a lot of these. I don't use these very often myself either. But you can see that AAR, which is aspect ratio, chaos is chaos weird, tile, stylize is the only one I play with, stylize raw, very subtle, very strong, remix, blend is to blend two images together. This is interesting because they say just the version 5 version. So we'll have to see what they mean by this. Describe is where you drop an image in and then it gives you the text that would generate that prompt. This is something I use quite a bit. And there have been a couple of images that hasn't been able to do for me with Describe. I think there's been 2 times I hit a failure point, and I can go back and test those. So I'm going to be doing a lot of testing today to see how things have changed with old prompts. They've gotten rid of, or they don't have yet, pan, zoom, vary, tune, or describe. You can see, so it's still using the old Describe version. So this hasn't updated yet. Here's what's important, and this is the really important section that it's so tempting to look at the exciting stuff. And here's what I want to go through. Prompting is significantly different. You'll need to relearn. So if you've done a lot of prompting in the past, and especially if you bought a bunch of prompt packs, there's a good chance that those are completely obsolete now. Now, I have only taught a couple of prompts, So I haven't taught a lot, but I'm going to be testing in this video the ones that I've sold and the ones that are part of my product to see what needs to change. So this means I might have to go and push updates really quickly. But I've only taught, I think, 10 MidJourney prompts. I don't teach a lot, and I don't teach award-winning photorealistic 8K, 4K. It's really interesting to me that they call these junk, because in the past, these did make a difference in the prompting. So it's a new language. So they're saying be explicit. It may be less vibey. It's so hard to know what they mean by vibey, right? But if you're explicit, it's now much better understanding you, which means it can handle a longer prompt, but I think get it with a lower prompt. If you want something more photorealistic, less opinionated, more literal, you should probably default to using style raw. So what this means, style raw, it kind of they're saying is give us exactly what you ask for, right? The higher the stylized number, the more creativity you're allowing it to have. So whenever you like hire a designer for a logo, they kind of say, how much do you want me to follow your rules, right? 100%, or I could be free and create what I think will be amazing. That's what they're talking about here. And the same thing here is stylize is defaulted at 100. The lower that number, right, the less freedom you give it, the more accurate. But the higher numbers let it be more creative and more pretty, is what they're saying here. And you can look in prompt chat, which is one of their conversation groups. Here's what's important to understand. This is an alpha, so a lot of things are going to change. Do not rely on this model being available because it's going to change from this to full release. So a lot of things are going to be changing. So what they're doing is testing, because everyone's home for the holidays or having vacation. They're going to let everyone run this, and all the things that go bad are going to get pushed out, and all the things that go well are going to get doubled down on. So they're basically using their customer base, especially their all paying customers now. I think they got rid of their free plan as a way to generate data. It just is what it is, right? But the good thing is that, if I like something, I can tell them to add more of it. So here's something that's interesting. Speed, image quality, coherence, prompt following, tech accuracy, they're going to keep getting better and better. Version 6 is slower and more expensive than version 5, but it will get faster as we optimize. Relax mode is supported. And they talk about this. Now, I don't know how much because the way they charge is by time. So if an image takes longer to generate, that's why it costs more. So I have 50 hours a month, I think. I don't hit the limit unless my VA is building something. So we have 2 users to hit the limit. Let's say the model generate more realistic imagery. Turn up the moderation. This is something here. There have been some issues with the nudity stuff. Like, that's the best way to say it. Like, things that I've never encountered because that's really not interesting to me. Like, I have no interest in that. So I've never tried to make a nude image. I've never seen that, but I know people are trying to make of real people and all that stuff. That's what they're talking about here. So if you mess around, there's just a lot of issues that they don't want to be a part of. So they're going to come after you and just delete. They'll just ban you, like, for sure. And that's what they're looking for. I know they have a bunch of words that can trigger that as well. So they're watching for certain words. So as long as unless you're just being really naughty, you'll be fine. Let's see version 6. This is our third modal trained from scratch. It's been in the work for 9 months. Okay, I thought it was 10 months. It was 9 months. It's not the final step. You can see here they have an area to show your best images. They have an area to show your ideas and features. And here's what's important. It's at the bottom. It's buried. We pushed the first update. So they posted this. You can see at 1:56 p.m. my time, and at 3:03 p.m. an hour later, they pushed it to make it faster. So I haven't noticed a huge problem with speed. As we go through, the first thing we want to do is take a look at the demo that they just made for me. So let's look what it looks like. Right, here's their prompt with that word hello world. And what we're really looking for is accuracy. So 1, 2, 3 are correct. This one is not. This has the double L. This is very fixable. If you watch my other video about using Canva Magic text, it can fix this. So very cool. This plus Canva Magic is the game changer. So very good result. It gives you a sense of what it can and cannot do. And the most important thing is you're going to be doing a lot of testing, and we're going to do some tests together. The other thing you can look at, right, is they say they have a showcase where people can show the images they made that they're proud of and say how much you like it. So I recommend looking here to get a sense of things and decide. I don't know how different this is from version. I mean, it's very well drawn, but I think version 5 was already doing this with Niji. But those were people showing the images that they've made that they think are really good. Keanu Reeves as a Jedi, very cool. The Beatles. And what you want to look for with these images is the hands. Are they getting better? Here, the hand is, no, still messed up, and they're out of focus, which is a good strategy to hide it. But these kind of look like clay hands. Like, they look at that villain from, I think, from Spider-Man, who's made out of clay, like clay hands or whatever, Mr. Clay. So it's interesting to see what people are drawing. This image, it's hard to tell this isn't a real image, right? That's what you're kind of looking for, is how does it pass the Turing test if you can't tell the difference. More important is to just go into the prompt channels. Prompt chat is where you're going to see people talking a lot about what's happening. I tend not to participate in these too much just because there's so many posts and it's like a lot of sorting, even for me to go through and find something useful. What I want to look at is the newbie channels. So in a newbie room, what you're going to see is what everyone's generating with version 6. And this is where you're going to find good ideas, like see how long this prompt is to get an image that looks like a woodcut water block. So really long, you're seeing get away with these longer prompts. You can see if there's an image that you really like what they're doing. See, again, the shorter prompting style is working. Atlantean Trident Warhammer 40K inspired. Let's see how accurate this is. Yeah, to me, this is very accurate. We just saw Aquaman 2 yesterday, so I know that's where this very much has that image. I know the Warhammer 40K tends to have big shoulders, so this to me is a win. Just doesn't have a mouth, but maybe he's wearing a mask, so very cool. Interesting, they're saying Tet a lot. Van Gogh style, yeah. I wouldn't know enough to know that this is, I think Tet is in Vietnam, not Italy, right? Like I can't tell one river from another in an oil painting. So it's interesting, but they obviously liked it because they upscaled it. So this is where we can see what other people are doing. Now, this is for beginners. So the one problem here is you're not going to see people like me using these channels. I have it in my own server. I don't use the public channel. My images are public, but they're not shown in this feed. So you can jump to other newbie rooms to see what people are doing. This is something I recommend to get ideas for what they're doing. You can see this is using stylized 50. And this is where I get a lot of my ideas by doing research. So here's a Santa image. That's weird. So this prompt is broken. So not always the best stuff here. So there's not a space here between these, which means it didn't trigger. And Niji and version 5.2 are competing. They're two competing models. It can't do both. It would do one or the other. So that's the problem with these beginner threads. Here's the V6 showcase channel. This is very good. There have been some interesting tests showing you can now say like put a ball on top of a square and it's able to do that. So it's getting better at positioning. Realistic Homer, that's kind of a nightmare. So you can see what images people are able to generate, getting a lot of cool ideas. Let me see. Where would they talk about? Let's see if they have ideas and feedback. Yeah, they're talking about prompt adherence, which is one of the big issues. There've been some, so you can see here about positioning the image, the ball on the box or the box on the ball. So there's a lot of good stuff here. It's easy to get distracted by this, and I don't want to spend too long here just because it's a rabbit hole, right? I could spend 20 hours just going over these threads. Instead, what I want to do is give you a demo. So here, and this is from my other, you can see the text is coming out really well. Best Friends for Life looks great. Best Friends for Life. There's a good accuracy with images. It's very similar in result to ideogram, which means you're not going to get 100% of the result. But I can tell you that these images, at least I'm able to get images that don't always look like Pixar. So this is a difference with ideogram. This is a difference with Dolly. It doesn't always look like a Dolly image. Dolly images, unless you really prompt out, they always look, I can always tell when someone's posting a Dolly image. What I want to look at next is, are my prompts working? So this is the MidJourney Visual Dictionary. This is a software I built. I want to see now if these are considered junk prompts, or we're still going to maintain that accuracy. So I want to pick someone. Let me see. Okay, I like this. So what we're going to do is copy to clipboard and test to see if the prompts have changed that much. These are in ratio of 3:2. So here we go. So what this is I just grabbed this to grab Les Edwards. So in the style, so this is attractive woman in the style of Les Edwards. You can see there's something wonky with the compression. I'll look at that later. And we should get a similar image. We want to make sure we're in version 6 to see the difference. And we're going to let it run. We got to create. Maybe I wanted to push 2, 3. We'll check that next. 16 by 9. No, this should be correct. So we're going to let it generate. And then what we can also do is the same image. Maybe it's supposed to be 2, 3. Oh. Yeah, I have it backwards. Okay. So one thing that's annoying is that you can't copy it in the same way. So let me show you how you copy a prompt now. You click on it. This should have been 2, 3 to get exactly the same image. Okay. I don't care about the version 6. So I'm going to copy this. I'm going to generate it. And then what we're going to do is test it version 5.2. So we can actually, what's cool about this, so now I have it generating, see version 6. This just doesn't say the version. That means it's 5.2. And we can see how different it is because I want to know, want to know if I need to do a dramatic rebuild of my software, if I have to regenerate every image in the MidJourney Visual Dictionary. So that's what we're really testing. I'm more worried. I'm not as worried about styles should be fine. I'm worried about this category actually to see if this is dramatically changed. All these different punk words, which are a really powerful variable. I actually was worried I was going to have to add in like camera styles and 8K. It's interesting they took that out. Like maybe ISO 8000 doesn't matter anymore. So let's let our images run and see. So here you can see if this matches the original style. And really the test is going to be here in the 5.2, or sorry, in the version 5.2. The one thing missing from the alpha is that it doesn't have a timer, like showing the percentage, 10%, 15%, so you don't know when an image is done. Like it doesn't make a noise. It doesn't make a noise. It doesn't have anything that says done. So you have to look and go, I guess it's done generating, right? So like this could be done or might not be. I would say, I mean, these images look great. So if you look at the image, this is MidJourney 5.2. There is a difference happening, right? But it's not so like this image look a little more realistic. These look more like a painting. I think this is more accurate to the actual painting. So overall, that's what I'm checking out. Very interesting to see. And this is something I'm going to go through this process. Let's try this. Right. So this is a woman in the style of fairy punk. Let's try, or woman. I think it's just woman fairy punk. Yeah. Okay. Fairy punk. What style? These are at, okay. These are at that shape. Version 3.2. So I need to go back to version 6. Whatever last version you're in, it's just going to stay there. So now what we're testing is really this is a push to see, is my prompting tool still useful or has it gone worthless? And it seems like it's okay to me. We may have to go through and regenerate all of the images, but so far I'm pretty pleased with the first test. Now we want to test a car. Let's do that. Fairy punk. And I like this. One of the things I do like is if I do my repeat, if I tell it to make 3 images, it doesn't double check with me, it doesn't ask me twice. So overall, I'm liking the alpha build for generating my images. But the real question is, so this is a fairy punk. There's a significant difference here, right? These are drawn with, I don't know how to describe it, but this has like that, like glowingness to these images. This is a more accurate image, right? This looks like more like a photograph. Very interesting to see. And let me just show it to you again in the version 5.2. So we can just do a real test in real time to see how much it's changed because this image was generated a couple of weeks ago. So for me, this is still affecting an image in the same way, but my example image is less realistic. And I actually think this is one of the problems is that all of these images have that CGI look to it. It looks a little bit, not fully Pixar, but a little bit. So I like this change overall. I think this is very good. So this here, you can see Fairy Punk Car has changed a lot, right? Here, it's changed differently. And I believe it's the issue with my prompt, now that I think about it. It's the comma. So it's more literal. Okay, so now because I wrote here car, comma, fairy punk, so the SID, it made the whole image fairy punk as opposed to making the car fairy punk. But this is good for you guys to see. Like, I don't want to hide this from you. This is my real process. We spend so much time working on this tool that we don't share with everyone. But I hope you guys find this really interesting. And I'll put a link below if you guys want access to it. This is a free tool, still in beta, but as we've been building and adding images, building out the dictionary, it's taken 6 months of work. Now, of course, they drop version 6 right as we do it. Let's look at this. Woman, fairy punk. This is in version 5.2. So you can see the difference here. This looks less like a real person. So with version 6, it's more like a photograph of a fairy punk woman. And the good thing is you can just drop back to 5.2 to get the image that if you want it more like this. To get this type of image, you would have to add more language to the prompt, which is going to be something about painting, or we'll play with the style and find out when we learn new prompt language, because they've only dropped this 12 hours ago. Yeah, so you can see that the modifier for car, it's really, golly, it's so different. So different. Okay. A lot to think about here, because this is very interesting. I'm not sure it's wrong. It's not hit pushing it as hard. So I think that this is an issue of stylize. We're going to reverse engineer and fix this to figure out, okay, how can we get into replicating this type of image, but it's still definitely got that look of like flowers and stuff all over it. But this this category has just been changed by the update. So this might be 5.2 only styles, but that's okay. So that's what we're constantly looking for, is what updates we need to do. It means my guy who runs this software, I have one employee, this is his full-time job. All he does is run MidJourney Visual Dictionary. We're going to do some updates to improve the software. But overall, you can see that the version 6 update has some changes. It does talk about having to change the prompt language. We may have to change how significant. I wonder, I just think honestly, I think it's a stylize issue between you and me. I think it's going to be. So we're going to try two things. This is, I was thinking of testing this off camera, then I was like, well, that's silly. Let's let you guys see it. And then we're going to try 1000. So to see how much, I wonder if it's a stylized issue or if it's something else. So I'm hoping that I've already solved it. I can't imagine that it's that quick. But what we're looking for is what causes the generation. So still doing very cool stuff, but you can see that it's defaulting to photographs more and more unless you add in a stylized element to tell it to be not a photograph. So here we can see this is at stylized 200. This is the default is stylized 100. Already you can see it's pushing it a little bit more towards that original image. I mean, this is very cool. So let's go back to Fairy Punk just so you can see it. So again, here's our original car. All 4 of them were pushed to pink. Here it's doing a lot more aquas. The car is very realistic. So just going from stylized 100 to 200 made a huge difference. Jumping to stylized 1000 is, yeah, it's still going heavily with realistic. This looks more like a Fallout image, like a really good video game image. So very cool stuff, very exciting. I hope you guys are as excited by me as what's happening with this update to MidJourney. This is going to take, it just changed my whole day. Now I've just had my whole day on this. This is my 3rd video on this topic. I want to share this content with you guys. But this is really, really exciting. I hope you're as excited as I am. I definitely want to share more cool things with you guys. So if you found this interesting, please leave a comment. Let me know what you want to see, what you like about this MidJourney update, what you don't like, and what you want to see in my videos, because that all helps me. So it's really excited to have you guys here. Thank you so much for watching. See you in the next video.